Hey, Justine, the Twilight Stamper, and today we're going to be making some wedding invitations, or you could use them as save the date, or whatever type of cards that you're using for your wedding bridal shower that you can make in about 2 minutes. So all you need is to get your bridesmaids together and start an assembly line, and I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do. So I'm going to be featuring So Susie stamps, so if you're interested in any of the products, just listed in below, there's links to the stores as well as on my blog. We're going to start off with 3 different card sizes. Now this one here measures 5.5 by 8.5, and you're going to fold that in the middle at 4.25. Now what you can do to fold that is you can get one of these paper trimmers that has a folding feature in it and just space it at 4.25 inches and then drag it down. Or you can take a ruler with a stylus pen and do it that way. The next card size is going to measure 11 by 4.25, and that's going to be folded in half at 5.5 inches. So we're going to be making 3 different ideas today, and you can pick one or use all 3 depending on what you like. Other things I'm going to be using in this video are a stamp press. Now you don't need one of these. These are what you attach stamp to in order to stamp down. You could use a clear CD case for this as well. Other tools you're going to be seeing in this video may also include the actual ink itself, so you need a good black ink to do this. I recommend VersaFine. You could also use Memento black ink, whatever you like. And then the stamps from So Susie Stamps we're going to be using today. I have these really awesome new stamps from her line, and I'm going to be using them in today's video. Next up is a boning folder. Now you could use this as to fold your cards, so I'm going to show you here using this card. I'm just going to fold it over, and you don't want to just use your fingers, you want to make a nice crisp fold. Another thing you could use is the back of your scissors, as long as the color from the handle doesn't end up rubbing off. The last card size we're going to be using today is going to measure 11 by 5.5, and it's scored in the middle at 5.5. This is a square card, and it measures 5.5 by 5.5 inches when it's finished. Now before we get started, I just wanted to show you the different wedding stamps that are available from So Susie Stamps. So I'm just going to lay them all out here on my board, and you can see which ones suit your needs. You can see that she has a variety of images and sentiments, and I've made wedding invitations, which I'll link to in the description below, before using these stamps. So to get started, we're going to start with the square card. Now this measures 5.5 by 5.5 inches once it was folded, and I'm going to be grabbing my stamp press. Again, you can use a CD case and attach the stamp to a CD case to stamp down. I'm going to be using this Bride and Groom stamp. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's really, really elegant. Now, some of the things you might encounter when you're stamping this, because it's a solid image, is that it doesn't stamp correctly. Now, what you need to do is you need to do something called seasoning your stamps. Now, all that means is you need to grab a scrap piece of paper and stamp it about 10 times before it'll start stamping really properly, because there will be some residue from the manufacturing. So that may happen. So don't fret if that does happen. If it's still happening, you may want to try a different ink and see if it's the ink. Sometimes the cardstock could be at fault too, so it's important to invest in some sort of quality cardstock, quality ink, and then it should be fine. So as you can see, that's stamped really nicely. And then I'm just going to stamp from this day forward onto the card as well, and that will be the end of the stamp. So you can see, you cut out the cardstock at 11 by 5.5, fold it in half, stamp the bride and groom, and then stamp the sentiment. In total, if you're doing this with multiple people in an assembly line, one person folding, one person cutting the cardstock, one person folding, maybe one person stamping, it shouldn't take more than 1 minute to actually make these cards, so it makes it really convenient. Lastly, I'm just going to add a little bit of bling onto the card and add 3 little sequins. This is a totally optional thing to do, but you can add whatever sequins you want. Of course, you could also add them in your wedding palette colors, or you can actually create this in your wedding palette colors. So you could do all your stamping, for example, on a white piece of cardstock like you just did, and then instead of making the card base itself white, you could make it in your wedding color. So they're very versatile invitations that you can make, and again, that wouldn't take any time whatsoever. So that's the first card we made in 2 minutes. Next up, we're going to be working with that top folding card, which measures 4.25 by 5.5 inches. And this is another just fancy tool that you don't need to make cards. If you are a card maker though, or you're planning on making a ton of invitations in the future, you may want to invest in this one. And the reason being is that you can stamp quicker, and then if you make a mistake, you can fix it very easily. So I'm just going to, you see I laid them out on my card, put the top piece down, picked up my stamps, and I'm just going to ink them. Now, what's really cool about this is that you can get a really pure black shade when you're doing this. So if you're stamping, you're probably going to get not a pure black, but just a tint or a tinge lighter. And this way you can actually go back in and stamp it again and get a really crisp black image. It's not to say that by stamping once you won't get a crisp black image, but you're really going to have to make sure that you're inking correctly. And if you're new to card making, that might not be possible. I've also seen people make their own tool like this using a clear DVD case without the DVD CD holder in the middle, if that makes sense, and they were able to do that as well. So again, just stamp the couple and then stamp the flourish, add some bling, and you're all finished. I know if you're new to card making, I'm giving a lot of information, so if you have any questions, just feel free to write below in the comments, but please make sure that there are questions that are actually not answered in the video. I got a lot of questions from my last wedding invitation video on on sizes, and I mentioned all the sizes in the video, so I can't respond to all the comments because it takes a lot of time, but if you have a valid question, I'm so happy to answer it, or where I get everything, or things like that. So next up, I'm going to be creating that sort of horizontal landscape size card, which measures 4 1/4, but from bottom to top, and then 5 1/2 across. And I'm just simply stamping the bride and groom stamp with the love, and then I'm just going in and stamping it again to get a little bit of a darker image. But again, you can just stamp it once. It's going to take you literally 30 seconds to make this card. So another really fantastic option. So you could use these again as bridal shower cards, as save the date cards, as thank you cards for after the wedding. It's really easy to make your own handmade cards and very inexpensive. So the stamps themselves are going to cost you in the range from $10 to $15 depending on how many of these you actually buy, plus the cardstock, and that would be it. I'm doing a giveaway for all 3 of these stamps from So Susie Stamps that you saw in this video. So I'm giving away this sort of flourish stamp here, this couple in the circle, as well as the bride and groom stamps. So all you have to do is comment below a comment on the video saying that you want to win this, or that you like my video, or whatever you want to do to be entered into the video. And that's all, and I'll be drawing a winner in a week's time. Don't forget that I'm actually doing another feature tomorrow on wedding invitations themselves, so be sure to tune in for that. And thank you so much again for watching my wedding series part 2 from So Susie Stamps. Here you can visit my wedding series part 1 by clicking on the video. You can click on the top here to go to my blog to see the supply list, or you can click over on the right to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.